Deconverted man. Hey, how's it going? Deconverted man here. All right. So, why do atheists talk about God? Because we're bored. There you go. Yeah, thanks for the question. Moving on. No. Okay, so I can't speak, obviously, for every atheist or skeptic out there. And even if I could, I don't think I would want to. But this question comes up, I don't know, now and again. Usually the theist is like, why are you guys talking about something you don't believe in so much? Like, I mean, if you don't believe in it, then why do you keep talking about it? Well, the question could be reversed. I mean, do you talk about other religions? You don't believe in their gods, you don't believe in their practices, so why do you talk about them? If you believe atheists are wrong, why do you talk about atheists? There's many possible answers to the question. Maybe atheists do it because it's their hobby, because they're bored, because they feel like it, because God is an interesting topic, whether it's real or not real. It's just like anything could be an interesting topic, whether or not it's real or not. Soja, oh man, I'm not pronouncing that name right anytime today. Mitra, because it affects us. Yeah, that's a good reason too, because other people believe in this thing, and that belief affects them, and then that in turn affects us because that informs their decisions um, about how they're going to vote or what they're going to spend money on or who knows what else. Now it might not, but a lot of the times it does. And although we would maybe hope for a politics that was free of religious talk, we'll hear the politician of the day say something about God at some point because, well, there's voters out there that believe in God. It's very difficult, if not impossible, for an open atheist to get elected. People have said in survey after survey that they won't vote for somebody just because they're an atheist. No matter what, it doesn't matter what their political knowledge is, what they've done, or whatever. Just because they don't believe in God, they wouldn't vote for that person. So that's bad because you need votes to get in the office. And so if you're an open atheist, that you might not get elected because you're an atheist. Why? I don't, it's a good question. So non non-theists, non-believers of God talk about God because other people believe in it. If nobody believed in it, well, I don't think that many people would talk about it. You'd have a few people. It's just like, I mean, there's people that talk about Star Wars and Star Trek and which one's better. Obviously, I know the answer, but I'm not going to tell you guys the answer because you all have your own answer. But I have the real answer. I mean, we all have different things that we talk about that aren't real, that aren't really that important in the grand scheme of things. It doesn't matter if you like or don't like whatever the movie is that I like, even though you're wrong, because the movies I like are the best movies of all time, obviously, and you're just wrong if you don't like them. But so the question kind of tries to probe at, well, but you wouldn't talk about it if you didn't believe it at some level. Like they're trying to wedge that in there desperately because, well, for a lot of possible reasons. I don't want to give a definite reason. I can only reflect on my own self when I was a theist. And we empathize, typically speaking, with other people. So we put ourselves in their shoes. So I don't want to put myself in the shoes of somebody who doesn't believe because that makes me feel uncomfortable. So if I can pretend that they do believe, then then I can put myself in their shoes and I don't feel uncomfortable. It's basically cognitive dissonance we're talking about. So I have to believe at some level that they do believe at some level in order to empathize with them and then be like, well, yeah, but you wouldn't talk about God so much if you didn't believe in it at some level. So I can say that in my head or even out loud. And then that rationality helps me to continue to empathize with them, which I'm doing subconsciously and perhaps even consciously. And all this is going on somewhere in your brain. You may or may not be aware of it as a believer. And I wasn't when I was a believer. I didn't recognize these things until I stopped believing. Grampy, I'm not going to read what you said. Metria, I can't pronounce your name. I do apologize. In India, religion is a big factor in politics. Yeah, well, and sadly in America, I don't know how. It's hard to say because people vote vote because not because of God per se, but like you can't be president if you don't say you believe in God. Like it would be very, very, very difficult for an open atheist to win that seat. They might win a lesser position. There have been a couple of senators or what have you that have won fairly large political things as an open atheist, but it's very difficult to do because there's such a large amount of people that believe in God and also believe that if you don't believe in God, then something is wrong with you. So I can't vote for you even though maybe you've done all these great other things and I support all your policies. It's like, nope, you're not part of my club. It's like, well, if they believed in a different God, would you vote for them? And the polls, when people have been polled on that question, suggest that the answer is yes. Is if they believe in a God of any type, that's better than them not believing in any God at all. So that's a powerful influence that this concept has over us humans, broadly speaking. Obviously, there's a group of people that the God concept has no power over, and that would be the atheists and skeptics. And we're small minority. We're growing slowly. There's more and more people declaring themselves as non-religious. There or saying, no preference. Now, they might still hang on to the idea of some sort of God, but by declaring themselves not part of a church or a religion, I think that does show an indication of moving away from of those things. Although it might not, because there's plenty of crazy people that don't go to church. So it's not like the church is where all the uh, nuts people go. And of course, not to say that believers are crazy. Some of them might be. Some of them might be perfectly sane. And some atheists might be crazy and perfectly sane. So it's the belief thing. Like I had to think about this. That here's this grand scale belief of God. Generally speaking, although what God is differs from region to region, but there's this overarching belief. So because you look at the bell curve and you say, okay, the majority of people believe this, that makes it normal. So from a psychology perspective, you couldn't say that it was a mental illness because it's within the normal range of beliefs. You could say it becomes a mental illness when it interferes with your daily activities. So if you find yourself praying constantly or crossing yourself constantly or whatever other religious activity, and you find that interfering with your life, then that is an issue. Let's see. Yeah, and then I'm gonna try to figure out how to sort this guy's name out. Mitra, that's what I'm gonna call him. There you go. That's close enough for me. I can't pronounce words. So if he doesn't, if he says he doesn't believe in God, then people look at him like he's a predator animal or something. Yeah. It's you have to be careful because depending on where you live, that's another reason why people might talk on the internet openly about not believing in God Whereas in real life, although the internet's part of real life, but out there in the world, in the flesh space, it might be dangerous to talk about atheism and your non-belief, because it could get you killed or hurt or what have you. And it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that way. Because if this belief is real, what does it hurt you that I don't believe in it? It shouldn't hurt you at all. It shouldn't bother you, not even one bit. And there I can flip the script and say, see, the fact that you're upset that I don't believe indicates that deep down you don't believe. But of course, I don't want to do that because, well, one, I don't want to put myself in cognitive dissonance. And two, I can't read your mind, so I don't know. But the theist will sometimes make the claim that, you know in your heart that there's a God or something like that. Christians do that more. Well, I know they do that because of the misreading of the Bible. Others I don't know too much because I haven't, encountered too many other religions out there. But when it comes to this sort of thing, it's like, how do I prove that I don't believe in this? And he's like, well, unless I got some brain scans going, I wouldn't be able to do it. I could do it hypothetically if I had access to equipment and people that were, willing and able to get all the charts going of my brain, and I could get all the data together and be like, here, see, I really don't believe, but of course, for a mundane effort, there's no way to prove or disprove that you believe or don't believe in X, Y, or Z. So it kind of falls under the category of the social contract, where we assume innocence unless guilt is proven. So if I say I ate dinner last night, you assume that I'm telling the truth unless you find a reason to suspect otherwise. But of course, the nature of your skepticism changes depending on the claim that I make. So if I said I had dinner with the president of the United States last night, then your skepticism is higher than it was just if I ate dinner and left it at that. So because the bigger the claim, the bigger the burden of proof becomes, because it's good to be skeptical of people, because it's good to doubt people, because people can make up stories and you might think, well, what would be the harm in just going along? There might not be any harm, or they might be, taking you down a path to try to scam you. So it's better to just be skeptical of the thing. And the IRS is never going to call you on the phone. It's not that they don't do that. So if you get a call from the IRS, it's a scammer. If you get a call from your bank, it's probably a scam. If you get a call from anybody saying that you won anything, you didn't win anything, and don't believe them. If you get a call from somebody and they have an accent, it just be super mega skeptical. I hate to put it that way, but it's just, even if they don't have an accent, just be, how do you know who I am? How do you know my name? How do you know this? How do you know that? Like, I need your info. No. You need to tell me my info because you called me. And of course, you could just say, look, I refuse to do business over the phone. I'll do it. If there's something, that's a problem, I'll go into the bank and just hang up, say, take me off your call list, hang up, and deal with it in person. Let's see. It's so Sweek. There we go. I said his name. Yay. So there was a video that Johnny did where somebody had asked about, why atheists talk about God. And so I was thinking about that. I wanted to talk about that a little bit and address it broadly speaking. I've done videos on it a couple different times. And, as I said, the answer could be anything under the sun. You'd be like, why do you talk about God? I don't know. I've got nothing better to do. It's like a hobby, like playing with trains. I just find it interesting. I'm bored, or why? Because you talk about it. Like, I mean, insert any answer potential here. But I do think, at least for the person that made the video, there might be the underlying idea that they want to try to suggest that the reason we're talking about God so much is because we secretly believe in God. No, 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 no. I don't believe in any God at all. Not even a little. Um, Sometimes I find myself, I don't want to say wishing that I could believe, but wishing that the world was like that, that there was a God in this world. But the world would look different than it does if there was a God that actually could do stuff and cared. There'd have to be some attributes to that God to make real changes. And so, if there is a God, it's a God that doesn't care and or doesn't have power. So it would be interesting to find out about, but not really useful. You'll be like, oh, that's kind of cool. All right, yeah, whatever. Go about my day. What, maybe it's only useful after you expire. Like, well, okay, whatever. Where's the proof for that? So that's one of many possible answers to why atheists talk about God. Another answer would be kind of going to a video that I just had seen recently, talking about a Twitter post S.J. Thompson made, which I pinned her on and asked her about and dug deep on, where she claimed that Christianity cures depression. And so the guy, Craig Reed, he was talking about that and saying, well, it seems like it did for me, he said. Okay, well, that might be the case. You might have thought that you were depressed. Did you get a diagnosis of depression? If not, then you had a belief that you were depressed. You might have been some level of some type of depression, or it might have been something that we wouldn't classify as depression. We don't know, because if you didn't get a diagnosis, you have no way to self-diagnose that. And it's like, and getting away from alcohol and drugs and whatever, was uplifting. Well, yeah, probably would be, because if you're around that stuff, then you're around, you know, negative influences. Now, if that stuff became legal, then the people you were around might not be those kind of bad people. They might actually be better people. So we might find in Colorado and California that allowing pot is, or weed, or whatever you want to call it, is beneficial in some sense. I don't know. We'll see. They're the testing ground for that, to see if it will work out or not. And I don't know. I just have to just wait and see what the statistics say. If more people wind up getting hurt or killed, well high, then making it illegal might be a good idea, or it might be too late once the genie's out of the bottle. It's difficult to say. But the idea that a religion can cure you of anything is not one supported by any scientific study at all. Period. End of story. It's not out there. If it was, then your doctor would say, well, I recommend some Buddhism for, 2 months, and then come back and we'll see how you're doing. It would be part of your prescription. And certain things work. Meditation does work. There's evidence for that, but that's not a religious thing. You can just meditate, and it's just about being calm and relaxed, and breathing, and just focusing on that, and just kind of emptying your mind. And so it's restful. You might even fall asleep, and that's fine. And that's good for you. So, use the things that really are proven to work, not the things that are like, well, maybe. And the other thing with religion is if you're going to a church, you're going to have people that you meet and make friends with, so you have a peer group. So that's something that atheism/skepticism might not really provide you with, because you might find yourself very alone in terms of geography. So where I'm at, there's like no atheists around here, probably, or there's very few, uh, if I look at gomeetup.com or whatever, there's no atheist groups in my area that meet up. So, maybe if you build it, they'll come, maybe, but, but, there's always the internet for community in that sense, but there's something special about the, meeting people face to face that we haven't gotten there yet as far as atheism, skepticism goes. There's not a atheist church on every corner yet. I don't know that I'd go to an atheist church, but it'd be nice to know that it was there if I wanted something to do. Good morning, fellow atheist. Christy Santiago says, hope I pronounced that wrong. Build that wall between church and state. Yeah, well, church and state should be separate. And every now and then again, it will get under attack, usually by Christians, sometimes other people, but usually like be, putting up the 10 Commandments, or like in Texas, they were like, well, on the money it says in God we trust, so we can put that on our cars and say in God we trust since it's on the money. And it's a pretty darn good argument that they have made. It's like, well, it says it on the money, therefore we can put it on the cars because that's government approved and our cars are government, therefore we can do it. And it's kind of like, no, and the money shouldn't say that, but it does. And there's a reason. There's a historical reason that most people know. Not everybody knows. Bonus points in the chat if you know what that reason that the in God we trust showed up on our money. I think it'd be better if we got rid of it, but it's just like such a low priority of things to get fixed in our world that whenever it comes up, atheists are kind of like, what are you gonna do? I mean, if they get rid of it, then they also need to get rid of pennies and nickels and perhaps even dimes, because those things are costing more than they're worth. So it might just be that we have no more physical money anyways, before you know it. Who knows? I talk about God, dogs are better. I don't like dogs. This is a well-known fact if you watch my channel enough. I have a phobia of dogs. I don't like them. I don't want to like them. It's just, no, leave me alone with the dogs. You can like them all you want, but I don't have to. So there. Yeah. I was watching a pets thing, pets doing cute stuff, and every time a dog would be on, like, I don't care what you do that you think is cute. And the dog couldn't hear me because it's a video, so I was just talking to the computer at that point. Yeah, God is dog spelled backwards. Isn't that weird? It's a weird thing with language and stuff like that. I don't know what that means. It doesn't mean anything. It's just the way it is. What else? But yeah, I mean, it's the other thing I was thinking about with when I was a believer is when somebody left to go to the store or go to work, I could just pray that they'd be okay, and then I just feel like, oh, okay, they're gonna be fine. But now, as a skeptic, it's just they leave, and I go, well, okay. There's like, hopefully they'll be okay. But I was doing, so the comfort of pretending that they were safe did have, did make things tolerable. So there is some, there isn't really anything that you can do as a skeptic to say, well, I know they're going to be okay, because you don't know. You have no idea, what's going to happen. Hoping for the best has no effect on reality. So there's really not anything you can say or think that will change whatever the outcome is. So I guess you just don't think about it. It's the only real way to deal with any sort of stress that you might have about somebody leaving to go out to do whatever, or go with them. But then you might, find yourself in the same predicament. Who knows? I don't know. But so they're sick. They're going back to bed. Cool. Good night. Hopefully you'll get better. I mean, it's either you get better or you don't, and usually people get better. So otherwise, you probably need to go to a hospital, and then hopefully they get you better, or well, you know, what else? I think that's it. I think I covered why we talk about God to, in a broad brush stroke, but I invited that theist that Johnny Drive By, whatever his name is. I was like, hey, come on my channel and talk to me. So we'll see. I'm also waiting for another theist to come and talk to me eventually today, whenever he wakes up. He's supposed to poke me, and we'll do a thing, and I'll just talk to him about his beliefs. I don't think we're going to do a debate or anything. But I'm just asking why he believes what he believes, and what he thinks of skeptics or atheists, or why, and those sort of questions. So hopefully that will be a thing, and if it is a thing, I'll name it. I don't know what I'll name it yet. So stay tuned maybe for that. Sub, I guess, if you want, if you're not already, because that's a thing I have to say, I guess. I don't know. Is there anything else? No, I guess that's it. I mean, I could talk about other things that I see randomly to talk about, but yeah, I mean, that would no. Okay, stopping the broadcast. See you all later. Remember, lobsters exist. I don't know why you would forget that, but I don't have a way to end this, so that's how I'm going to end it. Goodbye.